da warhaka, barkanmu da kasancewa da ku a cikin shirin barka da hantsi. Shirin barka da hantsi shiri ne wanda ke duba abubuwan da ke faruwa a Najeriya da ma faɗin duniya gabaki ɗaya, wacce ni Farida Sanusi Abubakar zan kamar shirin tare da abokan aiki na.
Musa Agbadi, good morning.
Abraham Nigeria, good morning.
An tashi lafiya ya gida?
Yeah.
Ya ruwa? An samu ruwan sama?
The rain comes with mixed blessings.
Yes.
Kasan manoma idan sun ga hadari za su yi ta cewa kawai ruwa ya sauko ya sauko. To gashi muna ta samun ruwa alhamdulillah tun kasan na birthday na 16 August. So birthday na ya zo da albarka wanda ya kamata a ce manoma su ce Allah ya miki albarka. Sannan kuma idan an girbe amfanin gona sai a dinga tunanin irin buhu 50 saboda kaga mun samu ruwa 16 August gaskiya kusan mazan ce mun kwana a cikin shi, sannan kuma muka tashi wadda ruwa bai yanke ba har zuwa yanzu ma za a ce ruwa bai yanke ba, tunda in kaga guri ya dan lafa yayyafi yana kan yi. To a sakamakon hakan kuma yasa aka fara fuskanta ko in ce daman kafin nan ma wasu yankuna ne ruwan sama ya dauke, kana wasu yankuna kuma ana ruwan sama har ma da ambaliyar ruwa. To yanzu kuma still a yadda babu ruwan din aka zo aka samu ruwa, ambaliyar ruwa ya sake ya tattaɓa wasu wuraren da yanzu aka fara samun ruwan sama. To amma kafin nan mu tsunduma cikin shirin mu tattaɓa abubuwan da ke faruwa, bari mu ɗan ji hutun takaitaccen lokaci wanda idan mun da shirin namu zai ɗora, a dakacin muna dawa ba da jimawa. Dawa daga hutun takaitaccen lokaci idan yanzu ka zo bisa akwatin talabijin ɗin kuna kallon shirin barka da hantsi. A kana kamar yadda muka faɗa ambaliyar ruwa ya tattaɓa ko kuma kafin ma a kai ga wannan za a iya fuskantar ƙarancin kayayyakin abinci sakamakon irin ambaliyar ruwan da ya tattaɓa wasu wurare haka. Yankuna ma zan ce ko in ce jihohi guda 10. Akwai jihar Kaduna, akwai Kano, akwai Jigawa, akwai Nasarawa, Taraba, Bauchi, Zamfara, Yobe, Sokoto da kuma Kebbi.
We thank God for the rain. We asked when we prayed for it, we pleaded for it, and it is necessary for farming. But the issue of flood, it has been predicted over the years due to climate change. There will be flash flood. Once there's persistent rainfall, it will lead to flood. But the issue I really want us to look at is that we have two extremes. In a state like Taraba, we have drought, and this part in the northern part of Taraba, while in some part of southern Taraba, they're having serious flood. So you can see that we are having two extremes, drought and flood. And once there's persistent rainfall, there's always a chance of flood coming, especially in some areas. Then if you look at places like Kano, Jigawa, Nasarawa, you have like 7-8 local governments suffering from massive flood. The rain will come, but it wouldn't stop, maybe 3, 4, 5 days. And you see the flood taking away houses and crops. And the farmers are saying, if this rain continues and this flood continues, as a matter of fact, some of them have lost their farms and their crops. If it continues, experts are saying the food crisis will worsen next year. Because in this case, we have those that drought took away their crops, and those that their crops were able to germinate, flood is taking it away. Now, I think this is the time that the authorities need to really sit down. There will be crisis next year. There will be food crisis. What are we doing? How are we preparing? Will we wait until next year, then begin to look for solution where there's no solution.
Ai kafin a samu solution ɗin wasu za su sheke.
That is it. So I think for now, the government should begin to think, what do we do? Do we need to import food? Do we need to bring and store? And even for the lives of those in this affected area, well, it is easy to tell them why are they there, they should relocate. I look like a state, one of the states, I think Kano State, about 6 local governments, and these local governments are bordering themselves. So now let us do it like this. Okay, I want to leave my local government to go due to flood. Definitely, I will have relatives in the next local government or the. But in this case, all the areas around me have been. So where do I go to? You find out that while I was in Lagos, I realized that most of the young men that used to be in farm in the north, they are now in Lagos doing Okada, cutting nails and doing all manners of things, being sellers of condemn. And that is one of the reasons why there's hunger now. People that are supposed to be at the farms, they are hungry. So government should create settlements whereby temporary shelter, when these things want to happen, these people can go and stay there. And when the flood subside, they can come down. I think this is one of the things. You can't stop this flood are not something that you can build drainage for. There are some flood that you can't build drainage for. You can't stop the water. You just wait for it to help and prepare a place for people, a shelter for people, food, and there will also be a health crisis. These are just some of the things we really need to look at due to this flood.
Well, it's a sad one. It's a missed blessing, I would say. While we pray for the rain, and because the flood is not everywhere, but it's in most of the places. Like in Bauchi State, some communities are almost cut off. So I feel it's a holistic matter that all hands must be on deck. Uh, Properties are being destroyed, lives are lost in some cases, and farmers. And in the midst of this food crisis, that we need all the farming that we can get as a country. It's a sad one, and we commiserate with the victims of the flooding. But that being said, I feel there are natural waterways. Our forefathers then, before they settle in an environment, there are places that you see water passes through. Water passes through. So as time goes on, no matter what the infrastructure you fix there, water will still come. Water must pass. So I feel there should be temporary settlement for such people, and also in the long term, I feel we should adhere to building plans, because people nowadays, most especially in the urban areas, we don't usually follow the protocols. We don't yes, people build not minding whether this is a waterway or not and the rest of it. And sometimes that's what wasn't the flood cases. Yeah, because there are no places for water to pass. So because it's not all bad, as I always say with the government, there are certain agencies, there are certain sectors or persons that are really trying. Before the flood came, NIMED and other agencies, they've been alert this area there should be, so that people should get ready. But as Abraham said, some of the people are there's nowhere to go. It's not yes. So if they hit to the advice or the warning, they do not have any other place to go. So the matter is a little bit complicated, but I feel with political willpower, and when the government is resolute, we can have a solution, at least long-lasting solution. Because if you observe, it's something that is frequent. Last year, this year, and before you know next year. Yes, so I feel we should be more holistic. The government should come up with an actionable plan that will at least mitigate to the barest minimum the loss of lives, loss of property, and even loss of livelihood. Some people, their farmland, and in the midst of this food crisis, I feel it does not speak well.
Duk da mun san cewa a shekaran da ta gabata an yi ta magana cewa za a fuskanci ambaliyar ruwa, wadda kuma sai ya zamana don daman cikin biyu za a yi ɗaya. Idan aka ce za a fuskanci ambaliyar ruwa fa wannan shekara, to idan ba a fuskance shi a shekaran ba, to wani shekara definitely zai kasance. Ko da a ce an samu cases na ambaliyar ruwa last year bai yi yawa ba, wadda mun san ana ta magana ambaliyar ruwa. Da muka zo muka ce to ba a samu ambaliyar ruwan yadda ake magana ba, amma kuma as of next year za a iya fuskanta, that's this year kenan. To sai zamana kuma gashi ne yana kasancewa. Ya kamata a ce ko ba komai za a shirya ma ambaliyar ruwa tunda an ce an yi ta magana damun wancan shekara ne har ya zo wannan shekara. Wadda gashi nan abun ɗin ya yi tsamari. An san yadda karfin ambaliyar ruwa yake kasancewa, most especially wasu yankunan da suke da irin tsaunuka haka, saboda wani ruwan dutse ne yake taruwa ya haifar da ambaliyar ruwa. Zaka ga ruwan sama ma ba zai yi yawan da wannan ruwan dutsen ke fitowa ya sa a yi wannan ambaliyar ruwan ba. Amma yakan zo da sauki idan ya zamana cewa kamar yadda kai magana an yi gine-gine a inda ya dace. Duk wani gini yana buƙatar hanyar ruwa. Kaddara za a yi cikin gida ne, ba za a kewaye shi gaba ɗaya a rufe shi ba, dole za a buɗe mishi hanyar da ruwa zai wuce. Billantana a ce ka je ka ɗauki ginin ka ɗin gurgun ka sa kan hanyar ruwa na cikin anguwa gabaki ɗaya, yaya ne kake tsammanin ruwan zai yi? Dole zai shafi wasu wuraren nan. Sannan kuma daɗin daɗawa a nan shine idan ya zamana cewa cikin anguwanni babu waɗannan culverts ɗin wadda ruwa zai dinga wucewa, shi ma kaga shi ma aiki ne. Sannan kuma karin a nan shine idan har ya zamana cewa ka zauna ta kusa da bakin kogi, to wannan shi ma babban masifa ne. Yau waɗanda suke cikin gari ma wadda ya zamana ba wai kusa da bakin kogin ba, idan ruwa ya karfi yana iya shafan su. Don ba zan manta ba shekara 2 da suka gabata akwai wani ambaliyar ruwan da aka fuskance shi, amma shi wannan ruwa ne na dutse ta gefen NTA kenan wanda ya shafi Malam Joda. Ruwan nan ya tafi da yaro, ya fisgi yaro ya tafi da shi. To ka kalli su ba ma suna kusa da bakin kogi ba ne, ba ta inda ma kogi yake kusa da su ko kaɗan, suna tsakiyan gari ne. To kaga shi yasa idan ya zama na an rasa su kuma matsalan su babu passage na ruwa, ba culvert ne haka, dole in ya zo yake tonawa wani gurin fa gida ne zaka samu rami ruwa ya ci yayi ramin da ko hannun mutum ya ɗaga hakan nan zai wuya ya kamo asalin saman inda abunan na gidan yake. To duk ire-iren wannan in ba an samu an yi gyara ba, duk da dai 'yan anguwa wasu suna ƙoƙari su yi wasu ɗan dabarunsu na ganin cewa sun kare kansu daga ambaliyar ruwan, amma ba zai yiwu ba saboda wanda bayi da ƙarfi dole ne sai in an haɗu da mai ƙarfi da mara ƙarfin kafin na samu a yi abubuwan da ya dace. Sannan kuma ka san an yi rashin abinci a baya wadda mutane da dama sun yi shirin yin noma wannan karon, an binne amfanin gona sosai a ƙasa wadda ya sa da aka zo aka yi rashin ruwan nan wasu sun riga sun rasa kayayyakin abincin a ƙasa, most especially waɗanda suke amfani da irin feshin magani da sauransu. Gona ya bushe wadda ka sa mishi a shana ka sa wuta haka zai iya kamawa, wadda zan iya kowa yanzu yana magana wannan mutumin a nan Taraba wadda ya rasa ran shi sakamakon ya je gonan shi. To kaga ya amfanin gonan shi ya yi kyau last year, wannan karo ya ce to bari ya ɗan kara. Mutum da ya shuka ko buhu 30 ko sama da haka a ƙasa, ka zo gona ka zo ka samu kawai a shana za ka sa gaba ɗaya masara sun bushe kuma ba su yi ba. Kaga ba karami abu ba ya suma, aka ya samu jikin shi ya ɗan yi karfi ya ce to yanzu tunda wancan ya riga ya lalace akwai ɗan sauran lokaci a tunanin shi cewa zai iya ya sake shuka wasu masaran a ƙasa. In ma ruwa ya tafi za a iya dinga bashi ruwa da sauransu. Ya koma store nashi inda ya sake storing abincin shi, ya ji samu ƙwari sun gama cinyewa. A nan yana faɗuwa kuma sai tafiya. To kaga ire-iren wannan idan ba mutum yana da tawakkali da danne zuciya ba, dama ba koyaushe ake kwana a gado ba, in ji Hausawa suna faɗin wannan. Yau za ka samu gobe kuma za ka faɗi, amma ka kasance mai tawakkali. Don Allah ya baka wannan karo, gobe kuma zai iya ya hana ka, domin ba kai kaɗai za a yi ta ba dole waɗanda ba su da shi su ma wata rana su samu. To ire-iren shi abubuwan gashi nan. Sannan a ce waɗanda amfanin gonarsu kuma suka ɗan taso, a haka fa muna kokawa cewa za a iya rashin abinci sakamakon rashin ruwan nan. To yanzu ruwa ya dawo kuma sai yana ambaliya, sauran gonakin da suka ɗan kyau ɗin kuma ruwa yana tafiya da shi. Kaga wannan ba karamin al'amari ba ne. Dole ne kawai ya kamata a ce masu hannu da shuni da kuma jami'an gwamnati a haɗa ƙarfi da ƙarfe wurin ganin cewa an tallafa ma juna. Don wannan karo tallafa ma juna za a yi. Idan wane ba yi da shi, za ka ba shi. Ba komai ba ne, kowa ya riga ya sani tunatarwa ne, abin da ka ci a cikinka za ka je ka fitar da shi ne kawai, amma abin da ka ba ma wani shi ne rabonka wadda Allah zai maka sakayya a kai. To amma sai ya zamana cewa kana kallo ɗan uwanka yana cikin wani hali kai kana dariya. Wannan ba yi ba ne ai, ko ba haka ba? Kuma kar ka manta cewa yau idan ka taimaki mutum, gobe fa wataƙila ko a cikin 'ya'yan shi ko shi kanshi shine zai taimake ka idan ka shiga cikin wani jarabawa, tunda dukkan ana fuskantar jarabawa sosai. Sannan yana da kyau jami'an gwamnati ko kuma in ce gwamnati gaba ɗaya na ƙasa da kuma na jihohi su tashi su tsaya su fara shirin abin da ke ƙoƙarin dumfaro mu ɗin nan, domin ganin cewa an yi tsare-tsare yadda ya dace domin a ga cewa ba a shiga wahalan da ake tunanin cewa za a shiga ba.
We just hope we see action and the rest of it, because it's not funny when something happens frequently. We cannot be doing same thing and we expect different results. So the government should be proactive and people should also adhere. That's why I emphasize on building trust, because as it is now, it's as if there's this trust issues between the government and the governed. That's why most times, even if the warning comes, the signal comes, there is this, they will say, it's their usual way, is what they've been saying. So government should be more proactive and they should also keep to their words. Because when there's empathy and there's this, what would I say, the willpower, when the citizens sees that the government, the leadership is concerned about them, definitely they will trust them and will not be having these kinds of issues reoccurring and reoccurring again.
Sannan aka samu gine-gine yadda ya dace, irin a keɓe babban fili, a yi gine-ginen ɗakuna ko da upstairs ne, a yi su wadda sama da ƙasa wadda idan waɗannan iftilayin ya faɗa musu za su iya su koma gurin domin zama, saboda halin yau da kullum abubuwa na faruwa ba tare da mutum ya yi tsammani ba, amma kuma dole ne za mu ringa zama cikin shiri, tunda mun san cewa idan an faɗa jiya yau ma za a iya faɗa, ko ba haka ba? Sannan kuma mu ma kanmu mu kara da addu'a, mu ci gaba da roƙon Allah. Shi yasa a duk lokacin da aka ce za a yi roƙon ruwa, muna cewa mu roƙa Allah ya bamu ruwan daidai yadda za mu iya, ba wai kawai a bamu ruwan ba ne, Allah ya bamu daidai wadda bai kai daidai ƙarfin mu kawai. To Allah dai ya shiga cikin lamarin, ya duba mana kuma sannan ya kawo mana sauƙin al'amuran yau da kullum. An ba ma company zan ce na MTN, su Golden Penny da dai sauransu, an ba su umarnin cewa su samar ma kansu da wutar lantarki saboda amfanin cikin companies nasu.
Well, this is a fallout of the electricity law that was passed, which allowed freedom for states and also other entities to generate power and use, at least for the National Electric Regulation Commission, gave the permits to MTN, Golden Penny, and some other companies. At least they could generate from between maybe I think 15 megawatts to 100 megawatts electricity, but it's not meant for sale. It generates and uses within the premises. So MTN has we generate, and Golden Penny also, and some other companies like that. Now, why I'm happy about this is that we are now diversifying in the issue of power, and this will reduce pressure from the national grid. So now all these major companies that used to be on the national grid will no longer be on the national grid. They generate their own power, and it has ripple effect in the fact that now that they generate their power, they to cut down on the diesel they use, and at the end of the day, it will make the cost of running business cheaper for them, and it should affect the prices of goods. So these are some of the legislations that the National Assembly should be looking into. Then again, this law came last year, if I'm not mistaken, and I was expecting the states to immediately jump on the train and begin to, because I know those days when you talk when the campaign starts, or anytime you ask a governor or anybody about electricity, if you say it's not in their hands, that whatever if they generate it to go to the national grid, and they have no control. Now let us say the national greediness has been taken away. Now you have the power to decide what to do within the confines of the law. I've not seen any state, apart from some few states. I know Lagos State have started even before now. They've been doing. I've not seen states take advantage of this. You see that they are just so relaxed in doing. Now, these are the kind of things that will have helped food production. A place like Taraba, you can bring in companies to set up renewable power energy and other forms of energy in the rural area where the farms are. So they use it to generate to run irrigation, to pump water instead of. I spoke with energy experts some months back, and also an agricultural expert. So the agri economist was saying the problem people have for dry season farm is that the cost of buying this pumping machine, they take it to a place maybe 10 kilometers from civilization, then they buy petrol at what cost? While they are using it, that the petrol will finish, how do they get more? The cost of running this. They say these guys are people that if you provide them with something like solar energy, in which they just need sunshine, that they are ready to pay because of the amount of money they pay for. So if you can have the government can have the state government can have agreement with companies like that to generate electricity and provide for these farmers, large scale farmers and small scale farmers, and then they restructure the payments in such a way that it is not immediate, and the government can stand for them as a guarantee that these people definitely, or provide policies that will ensure that they pay. These are the things I was expecting the state governments to do, and even the federal government to have not really taken advantage of this the way they should. So it is a welcome development, and I think more companies should begin to look in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. But here in Taraba already, we have a bill in the State House of Assembly, Taraba State Electricity Generation and Distribution. So I hope in soon as it will be passed and it will become law. It's a welcome development. It's commendable, and there will be competition. And now I feel even the electricity distribution companies will rise up because most companies now will look for alternative way to generate power for themselves. And overall, if you look at the cost of materials, cost of items, they've gone to the roof because of cost of production. And you agree with me that basically energy and power affect the general cost of production. Companies most times run diesel throughout, run fuel throughout, and the cost is a little bit high. So definitely it affects the price of commodities. But with this law, when they generate their own power, generate their own energy, I feel it will translate to cheaper products. And you know, Nigerians, we just hope as we are having. That's why I say it's not all bad. I'm an optimist that Nigeria will be better in our generation. So, individuals, well-meaning individuals that are well-to-do, I feel they should use this opportunity, invest in the state, invest in your own motherland, so that we'll have more basically our challenge, yes, when electricity energy challenge is fixed, there are a whole lot of things that will just get fixed on their own.
To ai ka san yawancin abubuwa sun ta'allaka ne a kan.
Yeah.
To idan har ya zama na cewa ana samun shi constantly yadda ya dace, to komai zai sauki kuma komai zai tafi yadda ya dace.
Yeah. Let me give you an example. Where I lived in Lagos for over 6, 7 months, we had issue of transformer. They fixed it. It was it was vandalized, and so we didn't have uh, light for a long time. My productivity level has dropped because for me to ensure that my laptop, my phones was charged and the rest of it, it takes me hours. At the end of the day, to get the job done, I get tired. But to since I came to Jalingo, where I live, they hardly there is always 24 hours light. So at any time, I'm rest assured that there's power for me to get the work. This is just me using just charging laptops and phones and even to watch the TV and get information. You see, it increased my productivity. Now, compared to companies that manufacture, that produces, once they have that constant power, it is, and if you do your calculation, there is no source of energy that is as cheap as what we call NEPA.
Ka san misalin da ka bayar kusan nan ai mun yi rashin wuta a nan. Wadda rashin wutan nan kaga pure water nawa ne ake siyan pure water 20 naira ne. Amma yanzu pure water ya zama nawa? An zo har ana sayarwa 50 naira 100 naira saboda rashin wuta. Ana tafi za ka siya drinks hakan nan in dai aka samu mai sanyin kenan za a siya shi ya 500 600 nawa. Yanzu sai ya zama na gashi nan wutan nefan ya zo ya dawo, duk da ya dawo fa kayayyakin ba su sauka ba. Kaɗan ne kawai suka sauka ko da an sauka, amma a da farashin shi na kwanakin baya ɗin ya gagara. Ba don wai a kamfani ana baku mai sanyi ba ne. Ana sayar muku mai zafin ku zo ku sa shi ya sanyi, amma kuma har yanzu sun gagara sauke kuɗin shi. Wadda saukin kenan shine a baka fiye wata kwaya 3 naira 100.
And the price should be regulated, yes. Because you will see once even fuel, once there's fuel scarcity and the rest, and transport fare goes up, the fuel gets stable, but the fare is still up.
Yeah.
So it's now on part of regulatory agencies, price regulatory agencies, to ensure let's have this price control, so that at least the challenges and the complaints will die down a little. Because honestly, there are some of the policies that are working. Yeah, there are challenges, but when these things have start manifesting, humans or Nigerians do not reflect in their own prices.
Let me tell you something. There is nowhere in the world where humans don't want to take advantage of situation. If you create an environment for people to make extra money, they will. And even if the factors that led to it is removed, they will still want to enjoy this thing. I remember during the COVID era, do you remember that in some civilized clime where we think these things happen, people were selling goods above, and government had to intervene. We were surprised there. So, you know what we say, so you both can do this. Now, what you need, it is not having the regulatory body or price control body. It is how do you enforce it? Do they have data? Do they have the manpower? Do they have the political will to enforce this? How do they enforce the cost of keke? It would have been easier if there's a government-owned transport this thing that people have option. If you increase your own, we use government, then it will force, market forces will force those ones. So these are our problem is not policies. Our problem is proper implementation of these policies.
Honestly, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But government is not supposed to be in business. What I'm saying is government have no business being in business. For instance, yes. For instance, government are into transportation business or whatever. We have instances that government officials and their relatives don't pay for the services rendered to them in government-owned institutions.
What is the cause of that? Because there is no proper body regulating the affairs of even government itself. So if they cannot self-regulate, how do they regulate others? The problem is systemic. It is systemic. So if you don't fix the systemic problem, it will exhibit itself in a lot of ways.
Yes.
That is just the issue.
To masu kallon bari mu ɗan ji hutun takaitaccen lokaci wadda idan mun da shirin namu zai ɗora a dakacin mu na dawo bari. Masu kallo barkanmu da dama daga hutun takaitaccen lokaci idan yanzu kuka zo bisa akwatin talabijin ɗinku kuna kallon shirin barka da hantsi. Kamfanin Chinese sun yi season presidential jet guda uku a France.
Yes, what happened was in 2007, the government of Ogun State had an agreement with the Chinese company to have a free trade zone, to come and manage the free trade zone. So they did it, and by years later, the government left, the government of Bangladesh left. So the next government, Mosul, came in, and he said there were two companies, there's Zangu and one other, two Chinese companies, they were having dispute over who is supposed to run the free trade zone. So after they went to court, they had a lot of dispute. So the Ogun State government said they cancelled the contract because there was a lot of disagreement on who originally, and then the Zangu, the government said they presented false information to, that is the claim of the government. So over then, since then, there have been disputes and this. So what the Chinese company did was to go to an international arbitration court to sue, to ask for arbitration between itself and Ogun State. Now, in this case, Ogun State is Nigeria. It's a tier of government in Nigeria, so it's a government. And there's room for a private individual company to sue the company. What they just need to do is to go to an arbitration. So the thing is that they were giving the judgment, or what do I call it, to take Nigerian assets available. They can confiscate it until the debt or whatever it is settled. So what they did was they went to France, they got their judgment, and there are three of our presidential jets there. So they took possession of those presidential jets. So when the story broke, everybody was, what happened? How can a company, and people are not aware that you can actually go to court, but because there has been case of a private company suing Argentina and taking over his assets, and even there's a case of is it Azerbaijan or which country suing Iran and taking over his assets. So it happens and you can get it. So when it came out, everybody was on what happened? Have the federal government taken another loan or what? So they realized it was an Ogun State issue and this. So now my problem is this. How did you during the arbitration, wasn't Ogun State government there to defend itself? Was there no representative? How come such a thing was going on? The federal government was not aware. How come the Ogun State government did not inform the federal government that something is going on and is going to affect our assets? So at the end of the day, then again, there should, before you can seize the asset of the country, I believe, I may be wrong, maybe the lawyer, there should be an immunity, a sovereign immunity waiver, which the country will agree that, okay, I'm going to court to do this with you, but I will waive my sovereign immunity so that whatever action that occurs, you can do whatever you like with me. But in this case, since Nigerian government says they are not aware, so was there a sovereign immunity? But these are issues that I feel will come up over time. But the major issue I want us to look at is that the states are going into international partnership, taking loans, going to agreements. You will see all these girls, we are going for foreign investment and the rest. They come back. We don't know the agreement made. And this agreement is not only binding on the state when this, as they say it in Warri, when Kasala burst, it is Nigeria that will face the whole this thing. So it is time that the states and the federal government should come together and see there should be a way in which we do these things. Not that I will just go Abraham State. I just go and borrow money, do this, do that. When problem come, they'll say Nigeria borrowed money. And maybe one day, Musa, if you travel out and we owe money, they will just seize you and you go and work. You go and work our money out. This is not something. And then something came up again. While Amosu was, the people Amosu was saying that the Chinese company is a dubious company, they presented this. The Professor Pastor Tommy came out. He said, yes. Ibikula Amusu, when he came, he revoked a lot of, he reneged on a lot of contracts that it even led to the death of a prominent Ogun State, someone that had invested money with the former government over then you come and you revoke it and you do nothing. He said him himself, who is a personal friend of Amusu, he invested with a South African company over OPIC, Odua is a properties investment company with Ogun State, and Amosu claimed they revoked it. He told him to pay 100 million. They paid at the end of the day up to date. So he was claiming that he did a lot of things that got many people to lose money. I have an agreement with the state, you come, you revoke it without any arbitration, without anything. So these are just some of the things that we need to really look at in Nigeria. This anyhowness must stop for us to progress.
Well, I feel this issue will make a whole lot of people question the synergy between the tiers of government.
Yes.
And to some extent, it's an embarrassment and it will kind of scare investors away. What will other companies that are planning or thinking to invest in Nigeria feel? What signal are we sending to them if we cannot keep to our agreements and our national assets are being seized? I feel there should be more synergy between the three tiers of government, and they should be both aware this is what I'm going into. And government, will I say, it's something, it's a continuous process. That's why I will always commend the governor of Taraba State, because if you see, most projects that have been abandoned or some that are uncompleted. He's working on them because it was state funds that was used. So the idea of a new government coming and you just stop the projects that the person that has left office, and it's we should stop it because it's a kind of waste and it's slowing the rate at which we develop. I don't see any reason why this project is of importance to the people and the government that has left office was not able to complete it. As you're coming, I feel completing it is not it should not be an issue, and there should be a whole lot of synergy. And I feel the Attorney General of the Federation should rise up this because this story it's so it somehow does, to be honest. One, it might scare potential investors. Secondly, it's an international embarrassment to the country. If our asset, presidential jet, and I feel regardless of the treaty, because I feel it's as a result of the agreement entered, maybe business international treaty and the rest, that is binding on the entire country. But I feel there should be kind of immunity on uh, certain assets. Our presidential jet, for instance, if and why should our presidential jet be parked in France? Because they pay. I'm aware they pay for slot once a airplane, because the state government used to have a plane in Kaduna, and when they brought, because sometimes they yes, because yes, we have slot and spaces, and I feel our presidential airplane. I'm not aware if there was a supplementary budget for a new jet. I hope it's not included among the cities.
No. I think the new jet that was bought, the president will be going to France for an issue this, I think today or tomorrow, and he's flying the new jet. So I think they can't seize that jet while he's in it. But again, it raised the issue of government is a continuum.
Yes.
Well, whoever comes in should continue it is Ogun State, it is Taraba State, whoever.
Yes.
That's kudos to the other time during the 1 year anniversary of Taraba State Governor. Someone was having a discussion with me and was saying that there is no new project. I say you don't need new project. What you need is to complete the ones that are on ground.
Yes.
It is why start something when those that are down
have not been completed.
It's like having a pot of soup and you've not finished eating it, you now cook a new one. At the end of the two will get spoiled. And in most cases, these contracts, they've mobilized, they've paid ahead. What you just need is just to finish it up.
Yanzu ka duba mu wani sabon project ne wanda za a ce wai za a yi shi. Za ka fara yin College of Nursing and Midwifery a region nawa ne? An fara a region na Jolin. An zo an yi stadium an karasa shi. An zo an yi specialist an karasa shi. Da dan baba ya zo shi ma sai ya dora. Ko ba haka ba? To tun daga zamanin da muka samu na dan baba da sabon kasuwan da aka bude din nan, dukkan su fa sai zamana an tsayar da aikin. Wanda ina ga ta hanyar tafiya mararraban Europe akwai wani kamar zoo za a ce, sannan kuma an yi ɗan shuke-shuke hakan nan ne, da lemu ba zai zama mana matsala ba yadda yake ta gefen bangaren haka. Amma kuma rashin ci gaba da wannan project din shine yasa aka koma baya. Waɗanda suke aiki ma'aikata sun zo sun babbare, kuturta ya kakkamu lemu da suke gurin, dabbobin da aka sa a gurin din ma gaba ɗaya yanzu babu su, ko ba haka ba. Sannan ya zamana muna da specialist har da turawa an saka a ciki, amma rashin bashi hankali yasa gaba ɗaya abubuwan ya zama to gashi nan. Amma da zuwan shi sabon gwamnati wanda muke da shi yanzu a kan mulki, ya sake ya dubi cikin sabon kasuwan nan an sassaka su solar da wayewa gaba ɗaya har da su securities da ya kamata don office na security akwai, an sake sabon fenti duk abubuwan da ya dace an yi shi da yake nan. Specialist an sake kuma an gyaggyara abubuwan da suka lalace a gurin da an yi gyaran shi. Sannan ka sake ka koma wancan building da yake nan ta hanyar NYSC abin nan camp can shi ma an sake kuma an yi gyaran shi sosai. To gurare da dama dai ya kamata a ce balle yanzu kan madadin da dawo da muhimmanci zan ce College of Nursing and Midwifery din nan. Ka dubi project din wani ginin an tayar ba a karasa ba an bari, wani gefe ya rushe, wani wuri ya yi waye, yanzu gaba ɗaya an sake kuma an gyara shi wanda me za a inganta ilimi ne. Most especially masu karban aihuwa das midwifery, masu aikin waɗanda. Dukka wannan ya kamata ce idan an fara project ba wai a binne kuɗi a ƙasa a bashi ya tafi west ba. Irin shi dan a fara yin wani project a bari, gara a ce ba a yi ba kwata-kwata, a san cewa ba yi ba domin ba yi da amfani in ba a ƙarasa ba, babu wanda zai ci moriyan shi. Kuma da yawa ire-iren su gaba ɗaya su rushe. Wai wannan gwamna ya zo ya fara aiki, in ya tafi wani ya zo da zai ɗaura akan nashi ba, ni zan fara nawa ne sabo. Wancan ɗin kuma fa ya zama to cewa an samu lalacewan kuɗi kenan. To ire-iren su in ba an gyara su ɗin masu amfani, yanzu ba muna da greenhouse harvest ba, that's gonan cucumber, a koma gurin din mana a ji a ci gaba. Abubuwan da suka fi amfani ma jihohi su ne kamata a fi mayar da hankali a kai. Yau aka ce an hana ka shinkafa, an ce to bari a baka cucumber ka ci. Abubuwan dai ga sunan abubuwan da suka fi muhimmanci, gara dinga ɗora aiki akan wanda wannan ya fara a ƙarasa. Aikin da yake da muhimmanci a ƙarasa dan ya fi a ce a je a sake wani sabon project.
You know, politicians and who gets the credit matters. I feel that's yes, I feel that's just. But to me, it's very needless. Projects that are valuable and are important to people should be completed, regardless of who started or who finishes it. And definitely we must commend the governor of Taraba State. If we are to be honest, most of the project is working on and completing it. And it's a kudos to him. And also even the man at NDDC. You know, NDDC has a whole lot of abandoned projects. It's now completing the project, and it's because state funds was used for those projects, and it's kind of wastage leaving them abandoned and uncompleted. Yeah.
Yanzu bari mu jefa muku wannan. Ba zan ce wani abu zan ce, amma duba da yanayin lokaci. An zo bangaren masu ball ɗin ku, bari in barka da wannan.
Okay, yeah, it is another opportunity for us to promote Nigerian sports, and the CAF Champions League started, and Remo Stars of Nigeria, based in Ogun State, they had a match at Kene, and they defeated their opponents by 2-1. So it's a slim margin, and the return leg, we pray they win their matches, and we also pray they don't seize them over there, because it's Ogun State that is on the lighter note. We pray that they don't go there and they are
Ogun State assets.
They hijack them and go. That is just while Rangers, Enugu Rangers, had played their match against what's the name, Zilemaju of Comoros, Muyo Township Stadium, and they also defeated them by one goal to nothing. So I think we should encourage them, the Champions League, the African football, Nigerian football as a whole. We should encourage them because it is something that can generate billions of naira for us, and it's also a wake-up call to Taraba State. We need a club, Taraba United or whatsoever. We need a club at the Nigerian Premier League.
Well, that's some good news coming from the shock we got from the Olympics, looking at the money that was budgeted and the outcome. Our performance was very poor. So this is some good news.
And then Olympics, whether you spend 100 billion this year, it will not affect the results as long as you did not plan many years ago. Tobia Musa, that was winning this thing, was a project of Ogun State again. There was a project of the former Minister of Sports who said instead of state wasting money on 100 athletes, pick 2 athletes and develop them. They develop her, and she's a world champion. Unfortunately, she didn't do well at the Olympics, but I believe after Olympics she will do well.